welcome to our first episode of FEM EDM, where each week we discuss various topics in the EDM community. Since this is our first episode, we wanted to introduce ourselves so you all can get to know us a little better. First, we can share our names, where we're from, how long we've been with Mix 24/7 EDM, and who our favorite DJ producer is. My name is Santina Murin. I'm from Pittsburgh, but I live in New York. I've been with Mix 24/7 EDM for over 2 years, and my favorite DJ producer is Elenium.
And
Go for it. Take the floor.
Sorry, sister. I'm hugging. My name is Rebecca, and I am from New Jersey. I've actually only been with Mix for about 3 months or so, but so far I love it so much. My favorite DJs, I'm going to shout out to Bass Nectar. I'm going to say it. I know. But I like Excision, Zomboy, Floozies, Chris Lake, all those types. Michelle?
All right. I'm Michelle. I'm from Los Angeles. I've been with Mix for about a little over a year, I think. And I've got so many favorite DJs and producers. Just all genres, pretty much. I love Subfocus and Dimension for drum and bass. And I love house music. I love techno. Just saw John Digley the other night. It was lit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. But I love everything across the board. That's why I'm here.
Hey y'all, my name is Ashley Edie. I'm from just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I've been with Mix for about 9 months, and Becca, I'm with you on that. Favorite DJ producer, all time, Bass Nectar, of course. But
Bass God.
I mean, yeah, I'm a total bass head.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely not alone.
Yeah, Bass Nectar, and I like Massive Attack. I like EPROM.
Mm.
Cool. Well, what got everyone into the scene in the first place? Like, what artist or live show or festival made you fall in love with this whole world? I mean, for me personally, before I realized Elenium was like my one true love, and before I really found myself in the EDM world and everything, my first show was actually it was New Year's Eve going into 2014, and I saw deadmau5. And although I'm actually no longer a fan of deadmau5, it was definitely a really incredible experience as far as a first live show and just like a welcoming into the EDM world as far as like blowing your face off of how cool the visuals and everything can be. As far as like listening to artists, Avicii and Swedish House Mafia is really the artist who got me into it, but deadmau5 was the first live show. Then 2016 was my first actual festival. It was in EDC New York, which they don't even do it in New York anymore, right? Yeah. Well, they don't even, that was ironically the last year that they did it in New York. And then last year, 2017, I made my way to EDC Las Vegas, which is obviously bigger and better. And I went to Elenium's set with my friend who really wanted to see him, and that was it. I found my calling. I found my sound. I wholeheartedly found my home in Elenium's music. So that's sort of how I was born into this whole community.
I love that so much. Actually, It's funny you said that. I wish I would have ran into you. Actually, EDC New York was my first rave too.
Really?
And yeah, it really was. And I remember I was just blown away by it. Well, I mean, backtracking a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe around, I'm 23 now, I'm about to graduate college, but maybe around like my junior year,
Mm-hmm.
that was when Skrillex first came out. And so I was like, oh my God, like, what is this robot noises? And it kind of just started growing from there. I started listening to, deadmau5. I was listening to Infected Mushroom, a couple different ones. And I didn't really know anybody like me that was into that kind of stuff. And I remember I would be like at the gym blasting it through my headphones, and my ex-boyfriend was like, "What are you listening to? Like, that's so weird." And for the longest time, I thought it was I thought it was so weird. And I've always been like, I guess, different from other people. And I never really had like a place where I fit in, I guess. And so when my girl convinced me to go to EDC New York, I got decked out. I had on the tutu. I literally dyed my hair blue just to go.
That's awesome.
And I went and I walked in and I was like, oh my God, is this like the New Jersey State Fair or something? And then as it got darker and as the lights started coming on and I started hearing some of the artists coming through, like my perspective just changed and I just felt at home. And it really was just something different for me at that point. And as for a show that really like changed me was probably definitely the first time I saw Excision. Excision was unreal to me. I saw him at Moonrise like 2 years ago, and that was the most animalistic I've ever felt in my life.
Oh, I love that.
Like he just brought something out of me, and I was just like throwing down. Like I didn't care what anybody thought of me. I didn't care. Yeah, it was just, I felt so myself, and he continues to do that for me. But yeah, so that's basically what got me into it.
That's amazing.
I can really relate to Becca's story about like kind of like feeling like you don't really fit in and kind of trying to find your niche. I remember when I was in middle school, I was kind of like weird, like an outcast. Like I drew anime and listened to weird music. And I remember being really into sort of like electronic music. Really, I guess, more like trancey kind of stuff.
Okay.
I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is really cool. But none of my peers were really listening to it. So I was kind of like, oh, you know, she's weird. She listens to electronic music. So I've always, even though I'm much more of like an indie girl, I've always been like a huge fan of like electronic music.
Right.
Especially anything I can dance to. And then I guess as I started studying music, I got more and more into all different types of music, especially electronic. And then I remember the first time I heard Bass Nectar, it was around maybe 2011. I found out he was headlining Bonnaroo. It was like, okay, I love Bonnaroo. I hadn't been at that point, but I was like, okay, Bass Nectar, I've never heard of this one. Let me check him out. And I remember the first time I heard Basshead, I was like, what is this?
What just happened to me?
Blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And I just sort of fell in love with like his music and just like bass in general. I mean, anytime Bass Nectar is like playing something, you know it's going to be a freaking party. So yeah, listening to Bass Nectar. And then as far as like live shows, I guess I haven't had like one sort of super transformative experience, but this summer I did see the Glitch Mob at Bonnaroo, and that was
cool.
Man.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Funny actually that you mentioned Glitch Mob, because the first time I ever saw Glitch Mob was at technically my first festival, but I don't really count it. I went to Lightning in a Bottle 2012.
Nice.
And I saw a Glitch Mob there, and I was like, that was like my family friend took me to that, and it was not like a big like we're gonna go to a festival. That
right.
wasn't until the following year, my friends took me to like my first festival, and like they knew it was going to be a big thing for me because I was like, they kept showing me music and I was like, I like this, like what is this, I like really like this. And then they took me to my first festival and I just like fell in love. It's Beyond Wonderland here in Southern California in 2013, and like ever since then I was just hooked. And unlike you guys, I was like definitely not more into bass music. Like my friends were really into house and techno. So like I started off like Dirty Bird was like my favorite label for a really long time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah. That's a good starter pack.
Starter pack.
And then you go to bass stages too. So like I really got this whole love for like all these genres, and then like I just moved into future house and stuff like that, and then drum and bass, and so like that's how my love for like across the board started. And then I guess I guess my favorite, I don't know if it was transformative because I've been going to these things forever since then. It's almost 2019. I've been going since 2013. Like
yeah,
this shit for a while.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite festival was Lightning in a Bottle 2016 because I just had like everything, not one single part of that festival. It was 4 days, 5 days, I don't even know, but not
a long time.
Very long time. Yeah. And
Wow.
Oh.
Did she cut out? I could hear her cutting out for a while.
No, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Where did I cut out?
Just 2016 Lightning in a Bottle. Nothing. Yeah.
Okay, so not one single second of that festival was negative at all. Not one single second was I not having a good time. Like that was definitely the best festival I've been to.
I like have chills saying that because I just picture it, like back in that moment of like, just such a happy place. It's the
And I'm
best
sure
feeling ever.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've all like had, I mean, just like all of those festivals that you guys were mentioning, just like you had the best time, and like there is no place like a festival. There's no
Oh my God, no.
Like the new Dorothy. There's no place like a festival. There's no place like a festival.
Everybody click your heels
not
3 times and
real.
say, there's no place.
I wish it
place
was
that
real.
like you just look around and you're just like, this is home. Like this
Oh
is where
yeah.
Most definitely.
you know.
Oh yeah.
Michelle,
then
were
you
you
see
at
that
Live
one
last year?
Last year? Yeah.
I was too.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We probably at some point really did run into each other and just like would never know.
Yeah.
We're probably raging right next to each other.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I was the crazy girl in the tie-dye overalls, just like, whatever.
So I'm sure all of our answers for the next question will be in the future turned into deeper and fuller conversation. But just for now, as an overview, what's one thing we would all like to see more of and one thing we hope to see less of in the EDM community? I know for me, one thing I'd like to see more of is obviously more female artists on festival lineups. There's just got to be more of a balance with that. We need our ladies on the lineups. That's so important. And something I hope to see less of is judgments. And it's kind of ironic because obviously, as we all personally know, like the EDM community is the safest place, the like least judgmental place that there is. That's what makes it so special and beautiful. But there still are judgments. Like when you look at it, you know, there are judgments from maybe the people on the outside judging, thinking that, you know, this is just one big party full of drugs and all that. That's you know, one perspective. But then there's also, as ravers, people are judging like maybe newcomers, judging like, oh, that they don't know everything just yet. And it's like, we were all new at one point. We have to stick together and make people feel like they're at home, because honestly, they are.
Retweet.
Mhm.
Retweet favorite.
Retweet.
Love.
Mine kind of goes with that. I think that I would like to see less stigma about the whole community. Like kind of like just like what you said of like, oh, like you go to festivals, like you go to raves, like, oh, you must do all the drugs. And
right.
Like, you don't wear a single bit of clothing because everyone's slutty there, whatever. It's like not true. And like I've met so many sober people who are wearing basically turtleneck, you know, like not whatever. And like just like people who have never been to one are so judgmental about like the community. So I would just love to see that stigma decrease and go away forever, because it's so not true.
Right.
And then one thing that I'd like to see more of, I don't know, because I already feel like there's a lot of love every time.
Yeah.
It's funny because we have like judgmental people and like the, you know, the whole stigma, but on the opposite end, people who are already in the community are just like, they give so much love and like they know what it's about and all that. So like that's always great.
And it honestly does overpower the negativity. Of course, there's going to be negativity in anything that happens, but the amount of love that we all give to one another like truly trumps the like random little people who don't want to give their love. Like, all right, take a seat.
Yeah.
And
like what you were saying about, I guess one point I would make is that, okay, it's like shark attacks. Every time there's a shark attack, you hear about it. But in the grand scheme of things, they're so rare that really all the shark attacks you're hearing about is literally all of them. Whereas you don't hear every time there's a car accident, because they happen all the time everywhere. And I think it's kind of along the same lines of like at EDM events and festivals. Every time you hear about like a death or an overdose at a festival, obviously that's going to make the news because it's a big thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's happening all the time, but you know, when it's a big thing like that, of course it's going to make the news.
That was such a good analogy.
It was really good.
Thank you.
Like, what?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Honestly,
even like jumping off of that too, like if you look at a lot of these reports, I mean, I know this is kind of going down into that, and I don't want to be one to like be pounding into the shark attack, but like a lot of times when you see when things go wrong, not all the time, but often it stems from a person not taking care of themselves. and maybe it was really hot and they were dehydrated. A related symptoms related overdose is, or I forget exact terminology, but they usually say what that is. Usually it stems from being dehydrated. It stems from not eating enough. It stems from not taking care of yourself in general. And one thing that I would really like to see a lot less of at these shows is people going into them without preparing. You would not go camping in the wilderness without a tent. You would not go camping in the wilderness without food. I don't care who you are. If you are going for the music, you are going to take care of yourself. Because if you go for the music, that means that you love yourself. Because you love yourself enough to do something that means something to you. So if you're going to do that, you have to take care of yourself in the process. You know, it doesn't matter if somebody's ingested anything or what. If you go out there and you're not drinking water, guess what? You're going to have a problem, you know? And I feel like something we should have more of is that there should be more celebration of how beautiful the experience can be when you take care of yourself. Because it's true, some people, you know what, there's those people everywhere. They don't go for the music. You can't weed that out. It's just like, you know, if you go out in public, not every single person you see is going to be, you know, have genuine intentions, but you know, you can only really account for yourself. And when you put in the time and the energy, like, it's so worth it. I know we all know that because you'll have such a beautiful experience.
That was amazing.
Very well said.
Oh, thank you. I thought I was ranting for a second.
Nah, you were coming across like super clear. Like I was totally following it.
Oh, thank you.
Does anyone else have anything that they feel like we missed that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Oh, I guess I should answer the question since I technically didn't.
Girl, same.
Arcs and one thing I would like to see more of is more cooperation between the EDM community and like outside, which I feel like the EDM community does, or at least tries to do a really good job of reaching out, say, to like different venues, different companies and stuff. But I feel like because of the stigma around, like, you know, you have people who do die at festivals and different events every year, which that's really unfortunate. But I think the wrong response is to just say, like, for example, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, a couple of people died at Hard Summer, and there was some city in California that said, okay, no more raves. Raves are just like not allowed. I think that's the wrong thing to do. Like, I think like when something like that happens, you want to have more communication, more cooperation. So like both sides can work to make sure that like that kind of stuff doesn't happen.
Right. And just to go back to your whole like point in your analogy, if there's a car crash, you don't say no more cars.
Right.
Like, that's unrealistic. So
very true.
Like it's not the rave that's the problem. It's the people who are going there to be problematic that end up ruining it for everyone who's just there to try to have some peace, love, unity, and respect.
Yes. If you are a self-destructive person, a rave is not going to change that for you. You're going to be a self-destructive person at school, at home, at the rave, wherever.
At the rave.
And if you're not self-destructing at the rave, you're going to be self-destructing at home. How do I know this? Because I haven't, you know, I mean, I've been in dark places myself, so I can even account for what a person might think going to a rave will do for them. Mm-hmm. But it's not. Like Insomniac and all those like people, they don't pour so much money and time into these events so people can get hurt.
Yeah, of course.
They literally, who goes to EDC and sees the sign and it literally says warning, people do not take this, people have died, and it says it all over the place. Like no one can say that they don't like. No, you gotta go for the love. You gotta go for the music. I'm sorry, I sound like a hippie.
Well, since we're females empowered in music, here at Mix, 3 things we're all super passionate about are lady bosses, body positivity, and amazing fashion. Business owner Camille Newman funded her own e-commerce fashion business called Pop-Up Plus, selling incredible and fashionable clothing to plus-size women. To support her brand, shop online at popupplusonline.com. Thanks for tuning in, Mixers. We hope you enjoyed getting to know us a little better, and we hope to see you next week where we talk about rave tips nobody talks about. To always stay up to date with all things Mix, head to our website, mix247edm.com, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. To be updated with our weekly FEM EDM discussions, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube and Vimeo channels. We'll see you next week, Mixers.